Well, a lot of us live different lives. We're one person at work, we're one person at home, we're one person at church. Coming up next on the Jeff Crilley Show, we'll be talking to a leading cardiologist who's going to say that life is a business. That's next.
Many are predicting that the worst is yet to come, which is unfortunate, said one person here. Until now, they've enjoyed the reputation of being the nation's icebox.
Watched a burglar in his home this morning by webcam.
As a journalist of over 25 years, stories are what make my world turn.
Reporting live from the Dallas newsroom tonight, Jeff Crilley, Fox 4 News.
But in 2008, I took the jump from my familiar life and started a PR firm from my home.
We're talking about anyone with a camcorder like the one I'm using becomes a television network.
We started slowly growing the company, and we now have over 100 clients, and we've branched into the world of live digital broadcasting. I now own 8 different TV studios and have a huge team, and the stories that I now get to share are sometimes the most important of my life. Life has a funny way of coming around full circle. This is the Jeff Crilley Show.
Well, we all know people who are like this. They're one person at home, they're one person at the office, they're constantly slipping into other roles as an actor. To talk about that today, Dr. Bharat Sangani, he is the author of a soon-to-be best-selling book called Life is a Business, and I thank you for coming on the show.
Well, it has been my pleasure, Jeff.
Yeah, so tell us about Life is a Business. I'm fascinated by this.
Before I get into this, I just want everybody to know, this man, he interviews everybody else, but we must know a little bit about him. He has a great empire set up and a great service. And I'm truly humbled what I saw this morning.
Can you come by every morning at the same time?
No, it has been a great experience, and I really mean it.
Thank you.
Coming to this Life is a Business story is, you know, constantly we are struggling. We want to behave a certain way at work, and we want to behave a certain way at home or in the relationships. And the expectations are different at different places. But the individual who is doing all these things is only one. So we make it life very complex. And if you really see, there are lots of people who are truly successful in business world, but zero on the personal side. And it is very sad to hear that. And once I heard this commentary from nobody else but the Virgin Atlantic guy, Bronson, and he said that, and this is very interesting to hear, he said, God has given me the ability to have stuff that not many people can have. God has given me the ability to go to places where not everybody can go. God has given me the ability to meet people that not everybody can meet. And God has given me the ability to go to events that most people can go. Having done that decades and decades, the most satisfying event that occurs in my life is when I'm with my family. What a profound statement. So that made me start thinking, why are we creating 2 different personalities if we are just one individual, and if we respect our personal life as a business? Why are we respecting everybody in the business? Because we want to be successful. Like I came here, I behaved certain way, I dressed certain way, I'm talking to you certain way, but I go home and say, oh, that's my wife, that's my kid, I don't have to care about it. And that's where situation changes. I should give them the same respect as I'm giving everybody out there, and life will be just fine.
Well, I've got to tell you, I've got a man crush on this man right here. He came in and he just completely lit up the room, and I'm looking forward to getting to know him better, but I want you to know him better. There's a nice video. Let's go ahead and roll that clip now.
I'm a cardiologist by profession. I was born in Bombay, India, and I came to United States and started practicing medicine. And somewhere down the road, decided to get into
That's our
real
office on the
estate.
12th floor here.
And we created Encore Enterprises, and you created a real estate company that we are very proud of. The simplest answer is, if properly invested in real estate, it is very hard to lose principal. And coming from India, coming from a very conservative background from my parents, my dad always told me, son, I don't care how much money you're projecting to make, just tell me what are the chances of losing my principal, And if there are any chances to lose my principal, I do not want to do that business. So that is very strongly imprinted on my brain, and I just would not engage into any business where there is a potential to lose principal. And as I mentioned before, most properly invested real estate deals, it's very hard to lose your investment principal. The second thing that drives us to real estate is one of those few businesses where you could be absentee owner, and still the process will run just fine if you have proper management team. And that's what we have created. And the last and important piece that most Indians like is we need to make money 24/7. So while I'm asleep in my bed, our real estate properties, the hotels, the multi-family, the resorts, they're all constantly making money. So it's a 24/7 return investment properties that makes me very impressed about this business.
Wow, you are so inspirational. I could listen to you all day. I know a lot of people complain. They blame the government, they blame the pandemic, they come up with a lot of excuses. You came to this country with $10 in your pocket.
Yeah, exactly $10.45.
So, people make up these false obstacles, don't they?
Well, one of the best thing about this country, that it is the best country in the world. One of the worst thing about this country is that somewhere in this process of becoming the best country and staying the best country, we invented this word entitlement. And the moment you start becoming entitled, your progress stops. Where I come from and how my dad trained me is that I'm by myself. And if anybody gives me something, that's a gift. I'm not entitled to anything. I'll give you a simple example and stop if I bore you.
No.
But my dad, when I was growing up, I think I was in the 5th grade, and he wanted me to learn how to do business. So, like we collect your baseball cards here. Mm-hmm. So in India, there are some different cards that you collect. So he said, I want you to go sell these cards. So it was a big building. So I went, he gave me a little bit of 2x2 feet table and said, sit here and start selling. So I got cards and I started selling the cards, and the one very strong, tall, fat guy came, and he said, I need this card. And I said, you need to give me money. He said, I'm not going to give you money, and he hit me on my face, on my cheek. Wow. And I started crying. I ran upstairs to my dad, and I said, my dad said, why are you crying? So I said, that guy downstairs hit me, and I was in the 5th grade. So he said, where did he hit you? So I said, on my left cheek. He said, come here. And he hit me hard on my right cheek.
Oh my goodness. You are amazing. Now, you need to listen to this man because his philosophy works. It changes lives. We've got a little testimonial. Let's go ahead and roll that now. God, you're so good. You're so...
Hi, my name is Mayur Ranolia. I've known Dr. Sangani since last 5 years when I was at Harvard Business School getting my executive education. And coincidentally, Harvard Business School actually wrote a business case on Encore. So this is my life. I come from a very humble background. My first job was at when I was 15 years old, earning less than $1 a day. And since then, I have got many degrees in India, in America. I did my master's, I did my business education, and I've always been looking after the greatest knowledge which is useful to live your life the fullest. Not the wealth part, not the health part, or not the wisdom only. I was looking for an education that fulfills your entire life and the way people live life, and that was quest of my life actually. I was hungry to find out a source where I can learn how to live a better life, and that's when I think it was a signal from God where it happened coincidentally, and I found out that Dr. Sangani actually belongs to the place I live in Dallas. Hence, I got introduced to him. I walked up to, I think I should give credit to my wife who found out this connection, and we happened to meet Dr. Sangani. And since then, I think I've found this really the greatest source of knowledge which balances out the wealth, the health, and the wisdom part, and that's what we call it life as a business.
Wow. Well, I have to ask you this because of the pandemic. I think all of us have gone through a shock, right? It's been a trauma. Mental health issues are going crazy right now. If you find yourself kind of trapped in a cycle of negative thinking, how do you break that? How do you rewire your brain to have that optimism that you do?
So, and it's a very interesting question. We are social animals. And because the socialness has gone away, we are seeing all these problems. So the first thing we need to understand is how to cope with is to get to the closest people who you are. Now, mind you, I'm not saying don't do social distancing. I'm not saying do not do mask. I think we should fulfill all the requirements to do whatever it takes, but continue to stay social. It doesn't mean that you need to go away from people. That's number one. And number two, I think just be your normal self. And there's an introvert personality and extrovert personality. And you don't need to be either one. If you are feeling down, go to the nearest person whom you believe and trust and will give you a few minutes. Say, hey, how do you feel? This is how I feel. And the conversation begins. So that's one way of coming from lowest to the higher level. My problem is never get there. When I wake up in the morning, I have so much to do that I don't have time. A lot of times people say, well, aren't you worried? You are doing all this stuff and something bad happens. I said, I don't have time for anything bad to happen to me. and that doesn't always have to be financial activity.
Yes.
You can develop some kind of hobby, reading. And now with Netflix and all of this streaming, just go start looking at autobiography of successful people. What I did, Jeff, when I came to this country, hell, I don't have any management experience. And I'm running a multi-billion-dollar company. It's all because of my intuitiveness and watching other people's biography. And we were talking this morning, Michael Jordan wasn't accepted to play basketball in high school. Oprah Winfrey wasn't allowed to go into a radio station because her voice wasn't right. Hell, I'm much better off. I'm a doctor. I should be successful.
I know a lot of people are watching this right now and they say, I need more of this optimism in my life. Talk to us about your Life as a Business course. We're going to put up a website page that kind of talks about it, but tell us about this course.
So this course is a desire that I have for decades. As you and I talked about it, I came to this country with $10.45. And you can tell the reason I kept the beard is not because I wanted to look smarter or anything like that, but you can imagine 1988 I started practicing this about 32 years ago. 32 years ago. And I would go to a patient's room and he would look at me and say, where is the doctor? So my wife made me wear glasses with no numbers and kept this beard, and the beard stayed, and glasses became permanent. As that time went. But during this process, the country, people like you, have really given me a pedestal that I don't think I belong there. It has been a true gift. And I think my life has now come to a full stop where everything that one could want and want to achieve at my level. I'm not Jeff Bezos or anything like that, don't get me wrong. Everybody needs to be rich from their own level.
Yes.
And I have reached that pinnacle of my richness at my level. So now I'm thinking, and just like you were saying, you're always energetic, you're always positive. What is doing it? I don't have any major science behind it. It's a common sense. So now I started thinking, since I have achieved this, how can I take this over to the rest of the world?
Wow.
Because I think it's a very easy way to do it. And because I'm a scaly, I always think in terms of scale. I can sit here and take one person at a time and train that person like I have trained myself. But that would be, life is too short for that. So I said, how do I do something like Jeff Crilley is doing?
Thank you.
How do I get to the masses? And that's where I got into this company called It Crowd Marketing, and they really helped me put my thoughts together, and this life is a business, life is a business, and business is life is a result of those things. Just one more explanation about this, why I believe what is the purpose of this whole thing, and what is that? And I believe that the goal of life is to be happy. Now that is not a discovery. Everybody knows that. You knew this, I knew this, even my daughter who barely went to school knows that. So it is a common knowledge. Definition of happiness is different.
Yes.
So I took the subjectiveness out of that happiness and I created an objective definition of happiness. So I decided that the happiness is determined on the three legs of a stool. If one is health, second is wealth, and third is wisdom. Health-wise, as you know, I have at the peak of my cardiology practice, I'm a cardiologist by profession, had 70,000 patients in my practice. The town where I practiced, Gulfport, Mississippi, the total population of the town is 100,000.
Wow.
So, and very few people will question my ability as a health expert.
Yes.
On the wealth side, by God's grace and a lot of help, we have created a multi-billion-dollar company with about 4,000 employees across the nation. We are doing businesses in about 18 states. So very few people will question my ability as a wealth creator. As the wisdom of relationship is I met with lots of families, and everybody whom I meet, there's always one person in the family that are crossways. And I think that is very standard theme across the world, not only in America. I have found a way not to have that crossing. So I found a way to create the relationship being based on wisdom, and I'm the prime example of living this. My daughters are working with me in the business. I'm married for 36 years, and I don't have a single relationship that can permanently make me unhappy that is not in the right track. So I put all those things together and create this program, Life is a Business.
Well, I have a prediction. I mean, obviously as a cardiologist, you've saved countless lives, and as a business owner, you've changed lives. I think this is the most exciting part of your journey, to pass this knowledge on from your journey to people who desperately need it right now. So thank you so much for coming on the show. We're going to put your website up to end the segment. BharatSangani.com is the website. Please promise me you'll come back.
It has been my pleasure, Jeff, and I'm still learning from everybody, and especially from you.
Oh, well, I'm humbled. Thank you so much. And that's it for now. We'll see you next time.